Go to church 'cause your mama says to. Visit Grandpa every chance that you can. It won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you've got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind.
After Sunday's shooting in Las Vegas, nearly 200 Kern County residents who were at the Route 91 concert checked in with us. 23 ABC's Natalie Tarangeli is in the live center for us. She spoke with a man from Bodfish who was at that concert and was helping people through the gunfire. Is that right, Natalie?
Yeah, Jackie, this is the Google Doc where we were compiling everyone that checked in with us. It was Billy Bob Mason's fiance, Regina Harris, who was one of the dozens that let us know that they were okay, but that her fiance was shot in the foot. And on Facebook, on his Facebook page, he was posting pictures leading up to the concert when they were there. They had gone in the previous years, so they were clearly very excited. He told me how he heroically risked his life to save others.
Billy Bob Mason is a huge country music fan, so much so that he's traveled from Bodfish to Las Vegas for the Route 91 Country Music Festival since 2013.
I've gone every year. This is the fourth one, and I was really looking forward to Jason Aldean this year, and oh well,
He and his fiance were even planning on getting married at next year's concert, but now he's not sure if that'll still happen. Sunday night's headliner, Jason Aldean, was playing to the crowd of 22,000. Then the gunman opened fire.
Felt and heard bullets zoom by my head.
Mason ducking for cover behind a beer stand, telling his fiancée to make a run for safety to their truck parked outside the venue.
It was kind of like just that.
Mason making a run for the back gate, but stopping to help a man on the ground.
I just can't not stop to see if somebody needs help.
That's when another round of shots were fired, one bullet hitting Mason's left foot. He made it to his truck only to run back into the venue, his wounded foot not stopping him from wanting to help his fellow concertgoers.
So I tied my sock around my foot and ran back in to try and evacuate more people, to get more people out.
Mason, a nursing assistant, used his truck to transport 3 people to nearby hospitals, even driving back to Bakersfield before getting his foot checked out.
I don't call myself a hero because I just did what was right, what I thought was the right thing to do. I can't not run by somebody who's laying on the ground, obviously distraught.
Mason just doing what he thought was right.
There was a lot of chaos going on that night. It was pretty scary, but you know, it's a basic instinct, I think, to help our fellow man. At least it is for me.
He said if it happened again, he'd do the same thing and help the people around him.
Even afterwards, I felt like, God, I wish I could have done more.
That night still replays in Mason's head, but he isn't going to let it stop him from enjoying life and country concerts.
And I'll just continue to walk the walk and do the do, and we'll see what happens.
Mason said he wishes he knew the outcome of the man he tried to help, but he was happy to know that he was told the majority of the people he took to get treated did make it. In the live center, Natalie Tarangeli, 23 ABC.
Bodfish man, wounded in Las Vegas, drove injured to medical aid. The image of the boy keeps coming back to Billy Bob Mason. That's the worst image in my head, he said. He and his fiancée, Regina Harris, were running from the main stage of the Route 91 Harvest Festival Sunday night as bullets ripped through the air around them. They were watching people drop. Then the Bodfish man stopped. I saw a kid on the ground who had gotten hit, Mason said. He couldn't keep running. I couldn't just run to my truck and drive away, he said. So Mason rushed to help a man who was already cradling the boy's blood-covered head and neck. Mason was checking the boy's pulse when a rain of bullets began to land around them. You can literally feel the bullets flying around you, he said. There were little eruptions as the projectiles slammed into the earth. Then the bullets hit flesh. The kid on the ground got hit on the abdomen, and I got hit on the foot, Mason said. The two men dragged the boy to safety, and then Mason rushed after Harris, whom he'd told to run to their gray Ford F-150 4x4 truck. Harris had overshot the truck in her rush. Mason got there and pulled his boot off. The bullet had glanced off his bone, tearing into the flesh of his toe. It ruined his boot, but it was a flesh wound. He tied his sock around his foot to slow the bleeding. He got out of the truck, and he went to help get more people to safety. There were a bunch of people that were trying to help, he said. It's a basic instinct for people, at least I hope it is. And, in his opinion, people at a country music festival might just have a bit more of that instinct than other groups. A lot of us are good old country boys. It's what we do, he said. We had pulled a few people out and gotten them behind the barrier, Mason said. One man had been shot in the back. Mason pulled him into the back of his truck and, with Harris back, they started driving towards the hospital. Along the way, they saw several ambulances across the road near the Tropicana, and Mason drove across the median into opposing traffic lanes and took the man to the ambulances. Then they turned around and headed back to the festival grounds to pick up more people. When they got there, law enforcement and emergency crews had arrived. They said, "Just go. Get out of the area," Mason said. So Mason and Harris headed for Sunrise Hospital to get his foot treated, but he couldn't go in. They were overwhelmed. So badly overwhelmed, he said. Mason works as a certified nurse's assistant at the Kern Valley Healthcare District and is studying to be a registered nurse. He couldn't ask the hospital to treat a flesh wound, he said, when other people obviously needed more help. So they drove to their hotel, where staff helped him wrap up his foot and suggest he go to urgent care. Urgent care sent Mason back to the hospital. But by then he was done. The truck was already packed up. So he turned his truck west and headed for home. I drove straight through the night. I didn't want to be in Vegas anymore, Mason said. He drove to the hospital where he works and got his foot tended there. Now he's recovering, but he struggles with the future. He loves the Route 91 Harvest Festival. He's gone every year. It's my vacation every year. I look forward to it, Mason said. I love country music. It's such a part of their lives that he and Harris were planning to get married in Vegas during next year's event. Now, Mason said, he's not sure that's going to go through. Vegas is different now.
CNA Heroes. Here's Lisa Sweet.
Hi, welcome to CNA Heroes. My name is Lisa Sweet. I'm the co-founder of the National Association of Healthcare Assistants. The purpose of this program is to recognize certified nursing assistants who have gone above and beyond their job description for others. I call them heroes. In all of my research, it's very interesting. I'm finding that acts of heroism have some common themes. It's voluntary and intentional. It's not an accident. It's done in the service of people or communities in need. It involves some type of personal cost or risk, either physical, social, or in terms of quality of life. And most importantly, it's done without the need for compensation or gain. Simply put then, the key to heroism is a concern for other people in need, a concern to defend a moral cause. Acts of heroism don't just happen from truly exceptional people, but from people placed in the right circumstance, given the necessary tools to transform their compassion into heroic action. Today we're going to talk about a country music fan whose love for country music put him in the right place at the right time. Las Vegas, Nevada. The Route 91 Country Music Festival, Sunday, October 1st, 2017. Some of you may remember and may have an idea of where we're going with this. Thousands of people were enjoying some great outdoor country music, including big fan Billy Bob Mason from Bodfish, Nevada. He was on his yearly vacation. Every year he went to this music festival, and he was there this year especially to see Jason Aldean and hear him play. Mason and his fiancée, Regina Harris, were near the stage when Jason Aldean was playing. Mason is a CNA at Kern Valley Healthcare District in Nevada, and he didn't know when he went to this concert, this outdoor music festival, how the night would end and how lives would change. Near the stage, in the midst of the music, Mason heard bullets and felt bullets whizzing by his head, looked around, and saw people dropping to the ground. Immediately, it was chaos. Everyone started running for safety. Mason and his fiancée took out running toward their nearby pickup truck. Mason saw a boy on the ground who had been hit in the abdomen by a bullet. He was covered in blood. He stopped to help, bullets still flying around and hitting the ground, and he could feel the earth come up and hit his legs. As he was checking the boy's pulse, Mason was hit by a bullet. With the assistance of a stranger, Mason dragged the boy to safety, and he then ran for his nearby pickup truck, and Harris, his fiancée, was already there. Mason removed his boot and a sock and assessed his wound. He tied his sock around his foot to slow the bleeding, and he then went back to helping others, including a man who had been shot in the back. He and his fiancée pulled the man who had been shot in the back into the back of their pickup truck along with a couple of others, and they rushed them to nearby safety and ambulances for medical attention. They continued helping others until police and first responders had the situation under control and the area was blocked off. Not wanting to take precious treatment resources away from others who were probably injured more severely, Mason decided to drive home, and he sought medical attention at his local hospital. I was incredibly impressed by Mason's actions in the midst of bullets. When I spoke to Mason about his heroism, and I do think that it's heroism, he responded the way many CNA heroes respond. He said, "I really don't think I did anything heroic. The cops, military, firemen, EMTs," he said, "they're the real heroes. They go into stuff like we had in Vegas knowing it can happen." Mason continued, "I just wanted to go to a concert and enjoy some Jason Aldean. I just reacted as a human during a tragedy." It's amazing to me that CNA heroes often do not see their actions as heroic. They don't think they did anything that others wouldn't have done, and they don't see themselves as heroes. That's the definition of a hero. Somebody who performs heroic actions and saves other people, and they don't put themselves first, and they don't do it for the glory or the credit. They're just being themselves, just being human. So today's hero, let's honor Billy Bob Mason from Bodfish, Nevada.
As we approach the anniversary of the largest mass shooting in U.S. history, the world will remember the 58 people who lost their lives on October 1st at the Route 91 Festival in Las Vegas, especially the loved ones of those victims and those who narrowly survived. 23 ABC's Alyssa Flores spoke to a couple from Bodfish tonight who is in Las Vegas now and getting ready to honor those 58 lives through their love. Alyssa?
Jessica, when Billy Bob Mason and Regina Harris first got engaged 2 years ago, they made plans to be married this year during their favorite weekend ahead of the annual Route 91 festival. But it was 1 year ago at that same festival that their lives changed forever.
We'll see what happens.
The last time we spoke with Billy Bob Mason, he was still healing, physically and emotionally. He and his fiancée Regina were ready to enjoy Jason Aldean, their third time attending the Route 91 Country Music Festival together. They didn't expect to find themselves outrunning bullets in the midst of the deadliest shooting in U.S. history.
Felt and heard bullets zoom by my head.
Even after being shot in the foot, Billy Bob helping people along the way.
I just can't not stop to see if somebody needs help.
When we spoke to Billy Bob last October, he and his fiancée told us their wedding plans had become haunted. They had planned to get married while at Route 91 this year.
There was a period where I
We
was
didn't
like,
want to go to Vegas. We didn't
I'm
want
not
to be
getting married in Clark County.
But with time to reflect and heal, they've had a change of heart.
But we thought about it.
The wedding plans are back on, and now Billy Bob and Regina are getting ready to say I do in Vegas on October 1st.
And now it holds an entirely new meaning.
Exactly 1 year after they almost lost their lives in the place that honors the 58 people who did the Healing Garden.
The 58 angels, I call them, they mean something. It's something, I want them to be part of it. So
Today we live our lives not just for us, but, for 58 other people as well, because they don't get to be here to live it. So that's part of taking this day back and taking it back with a vengeance.
They say having their 58 angels there in spirit will make their big day complete as they celebrate their love that's stronger than ever.
there's times where I've had to pull on her for strength, and there's been times where she had to pull on me for strength, because it has been an uphill struggle.
October 1st will hold an even more special place in the hearts of the soon-to-be Mr. and Mrs. Mason.
And we're going to put a happy memory in place, or on top of this negative memory. You can't replace it, but you can put something on top of it. And that's what we're going to do.
The couple will be getting married at the Healing Garden in Vegas at 10:05 a.m. on October 1st to commemorate the lives that were lost at 10:05 p.m. They say they welcome wedding crashers, especially other Route 91 survivors. In studio, Alyssa Flores, 23 ABC.
Kern County works towards healing 1 year after Las Vegas shooting. Billy Bob Mason and his new wife Regina Mason are also two other survivors from Kern County that tied their official knot Monday at the Route 91 concert reunion in Vegas. The two are surrounded by their immediate family and now their extended Route 91 family. After we finally decided it was okay to go back to Vegas to get married, we couldn't pick any other location than where we picked at the Healing Gardens, or the day. It had to be done today. It had to be done in the Healing Gardens. We wanted the 58 angels that we lost that night to be a big part of our wedding, and we wanted them there, and they were, the Masons said. The Healing Garden was the site for the Route 91 reunion ceremony Monday. It featured new installments honoring the 58 that were lost, but it also became the place where the Masons created a new memory in Vegas with a stronger and bigger family ties than they had before the concert. We consider ourselves to be the Route 91 family now, Billy Bob Mason said. California couple marries on anniversary of Las Vegas shooting. The anniversary Billy Bob Mason and Regina Harris want to remember is the one that marks their wedding. A year ago, the couple ran for their lives at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. But they vowed to take back the date October 1st. The day on which 64-year-old Stephen Paddock opened fire on concertgoers from a broken-out window at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. The couple were near one of the stages when bullets started to hit the ground. Mason stopped to help people who were injured. A bullet tore off the skin on his left toe. He wore the boots with the bullet hole as he married Regina, his girlfriend of 3 years. Mason and Harris were married at the Healing Garden, a memorial set up off the Strip in downtown Las Vegas. In the garden, a tree was planted for each of the 58 victims. Each tree is marked and decorated with personal items and tributes. We wanted the 58 to be with us, Harris said of the memorials. Many of the victims' families watched the wedding Monday afternoon. The couple live in Bodfish, California, a small town about 30 miles from Bakersfield. They said 17 family members made the trip from Central California for the wedding. We invited 22,000 to crash our wedding, Mason said of the estimated number of festival goers at the Country Music Festival last year. We wanted to take back this day.
Well, back here in Kern County, the community is still reeling from the loss of a handful of people, each with their own unique stories and ties to the community. Tonight, the Now's Tori Cooper shows us how survivors are trying to move past that tragic night and how families are continuing to remember their loved ones. Tori?
Jessica, many of those survivors, including several from right here in Kern County, are in Las Vegas tonight, reuniting in the same spot where many of their lives changed. And those that I spoke to say they are still trying to find healing in all of this loss. Billy Bob Mason and his new wife, Regina, two other survivors from Kern County, tying their official knot today at the Route 91 concert reunion in Vegas, surrounded by their immediate family and now their extended Route 91 family.
After we finally decided it was okay to go back to Vegas to get married, we couldn't pick any other location than where we picked at the Healing Gardens.
Or the day.
You know, it had to be done today. It had to be done in the Healing Gardens. We wanted the 58 angels that we lost that night to be a big part of our, of our wedding. We wanted them there. And they were.
The Healing Garden is the site for the Route 91 reunion ceremony today, featuring new installments honoring the 58 that were lost, but also the place where the Masons created a new memory in Vegas with a stronger and bigger family than they had before the concert.
Because we consider ourselves to be the Route 91 family now.
Other survivors from Kern County also say the Route 91 family is continuing to grow, and it's a new group of friends they each lean on for support through the healing process. Now, many of the survivors and family members left behind paid tribute to the 58 lost in their own way tonight. But at 10:05 tonight, survivors say that many of them will be gathering together, holding hands to form a human chain alongside supporters outside of the concert venue where the shooting took place as a way to honor those lost. For the Now Bakersfield, I'm Tori Cooper, 23 ABC.
A year after Las Vegas shooting, a survivor wedding takes back the city. Not far from where a gunman opened fire on a packed country music concert last year, Regina Harris was in a hotel bathroom, buttoned into her wedding dress, trying to curl her bangs. "I'm freaking out already," she said. A year ago, Ms. Harris and her fiancé were among those who fled the concert in a panic. But early Monday, they were back, preparing for the ultimate attempt at psychiatric reclamation, getting married at a memorial garden off the Las Vegas Strip on October 1, exactly a year after the shooting, surrounded by survivors. "Brittany," Ms. Harris shouted to her daughter, holding out her lipsticks. "Hot pink, wine to 5, or red?" A year after a high-stakes gambler perched from a high floor in a luxury hotel rained bullets onto a crowd of country music fans, hundreds of them returned to Las Vegas to mark the anniversary. Crowding into country music bars and casinos along the Strip, they were there, like Ms. Harris and her fiancé, Billy Bob Mason, to declare that they had taken this city back. At a sunrise memorial on Monday, many of them gathered at a local amphitheater to release 58 doves, one for each of the people who died. "We've learned that we are not defined by our fears," Sheriff Joe Lombardo of Clark County told the group, gripping the lectern, "but by our will to overcome them. But the last few days have also been a reminder of just how difficult recovery can be." On Sunday night at Stoney's Country Bar, as the duo Love and Theft took to the stage in front of a crowd of celebratory survivors, Alyssa Del Porto, 26, and her friend Rachel Stern, 28, were in a dark corner behind the pool tables, crying. "Breathe," said Ms. Del Porto, squeezing Ms. Stern's hand. "Breathe. That's survivor's guilt," Ms. Del Porto said. "It hurts. It hurts a lot." The engaged couple, Ms. Harris, 51, and Mr. Mason, 47, had decided long ago that they would get married in Las Vegas. The two met about 6 years ago at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, where Ms. Harris was the chip girl, doling out chips signifying time spent in sobriety, and Mr. Mason was receiving a new one. He soon developed a crush. On their first date, they drove to Laguna Beach, California, visited Sherman Gardens, attended several AA meetings, sang karaoke, and fed the homeless at a local church. The date lasted a weekend. Soon they were living together in a small brown home perched amid the hills in Baldfish, California, with fruit trees out back, canning supplies in the kitchen, and an invaluable view from the front porch. Mr. Mason was a cancer survivor and certified nursing assistant who enjoyed target shooting, but refused to hit anything living, including trees. And Ms. Harris was an addiction treatment coordinator who had spent years working through her own chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. Both had been sober for years. They were an obvious match. And country music, with its mix of compassion and grit, was an obvious soundtrack for the relationship. "She's just a real strong woman in recovery," Mr. Mason said, "and I find that to be appealing." They were already engaged when they went to Las Vegas last year, pulling on their boots to watch the country star Jason Aldean sing Into the Night. When the shooting broke out, a bullet struck Mr. Mason in the foot. Ms. Harris ran to their truck. Mr. Mason threw off his boot, tied a sock around the wound, and then both of them tried to shuttle as many people as possible to safety. Once they returned to Bodfish, the wound healed quickly. The emotional part has been harder. "Nightmares, panic attacks, it was pretty intense," Mr. Mason said. "Now when I hear sounds, it's an automatic instinct. I need to run and hide. I don't like that. I'm a big old dude. I'm not afraid of things. I own guns, and I haven't been able to get to the point where I can go and fire my guns off, and I don't know when I'll get there." They had discussed a Las Vegas wedding before, but after the shooting, Mr. Mason had to convince Ms. Harris it was still the right move. "This really opened a lot of old wounds for me," she said. On Thursday, they packed their truck with Ms. Harris's wedding dress and drove north to see Mr. Aldean perform in Wheatland, California, bringing T-shirts that read, "Hey Jason, let's finish this." Then they drove through the night to Las Vegas, where they had a room at a red-walled D hotel. On Monday, once in her dress, Ms. Harris pulled on a pair of socks that read "Badass" on the soles, declared the event a survivor wedding, and then wound her way past the slot machines of the hotel to a rented SUV. She climbed into the driver's seat. Her daughter, Brittany Cozart, 29, her soon-to-be sister-in-law, Lisa Blundo, 44, and her aunt, Bobby Hardin, 63, took the passenger seats. "Hey," she said to the crowd, leaning out the window as she arrived at the new garden setup to remember the fallen. An American flag flew at half-staff. Mr. Mason stood by in a purple vest and a black cowboy hat. "I'm feeling okay," he said. "Nervous." The garden was filled with people who had come to pay their respects to the dead. Many were surprised to find a wedding. Stacy Power, 39, a survivor who had traveled back to Las Vegas, said it fit with country culture. "They picked the wrong crowd of people," she said of the gunman, "if they wanted to kill anybody's spirit." Ms. Harris stood at the back of the garden, a carpet of yellow, orange, and purple flowers. She took a deep breath. At the altar, a space between tall memorial candles and a wall bearing the names of the dead, Ms. Harris and Mr. Mason clasped hands. The officiant was Janine Parrish, 34, a non-denominational minister whose husband is with the North Las Vegas Police. He had spent the day after the shooting guarding the bodies. "I will willingly be your protector," Mr. Mason told Ms. Harris. "I will willingly be your protector," Ms. Harris told Mr. Mason. Ms. Parrish, her voice strained with emotion, concluded the service. "From this day on," she told them, "it's you against the world."
Wish I could see